Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Vengeance Is Mine. This movie tells a story of a broken man struggling to come to terms with the murder of his wife and daughter 5 years ago. When he discovers the killer's location, he awakens from his grief and intends to take an act of revenge and never stop until they are all dead. Can he avenge his wife and daughter? Let's find out in Vengeance Is Mine. This movie begins with a shooting action by a group of masked men. The man opened fire on another group of men in the car until one of the men came out and dropped the suitcase he was carrying. Without many words, the man was shot and his suitcase taken. Just as they were driving away, the police siren sounded. The scene moves to an old church building of St. Jude's, where a man is sitting pensively. The man's name is Harry Kane. There are many letters on the floor from the Henderson Detective Agency, writing that nothing had been reported. Harry heard the sound of police sirens from outside. Then he got up and took a chair from under the bed. The chair is tied with a knife pointing upwards. Apparently, Harry intended to end his life. Memories of the past flash through when Harry was about to jump on a knife. Harry is seen dancing happily with his daughter and wife. After a shadow in Harry's memory showed a group of men in a car. Harry didn't end his life. He looked out the window, which showed a young man and woman couple. The two of them apparently carried out illegal drug transactions. Harry started his activities by cleaning the church. In another room, there was a group that was discussing something. Unfortunately, they closed the door when they realized Harry was staring at them. Harry seemed to be constantly haunted by hallucinations. While sitting and reading a book, he hallucinated that a man had appeared from behind to shoot him. Harry meets a woman, Emma, who keeps staring at him before hesitating to give him a warm drink in the kitchen. Harry's job was apparently cleaning and tidying up the church. While arranging the books on the top floor of the church, Harry again intended to end his life by jumping. Once again, the memories of his family in the past appear. This time, Harry's wife and daughter were seen being hit by a group of men in a car. Harry's wife and daughter fell helplessly while Harry could only stare at them. Before Harry could jump to end his life, a priest entered the church. Harry came out and picked up the letter addressed to the priest. The letter appeared to be from Henderson Detective Agency, which told them they had information. In the letter's contents, Henderson asked Harry to meet at a cafe. Henderson said he had an informant at the club who said there was a dealer. The dealer revealed that 5 years ago, they did a job in Whitfield and got away with it. The detective explained that the dealer returned to the pub every Thursday afternoon and went about his business. The dealer was using a van. Unfortunately, the number plate was not known to trace the address. Harry also asked where the location of the pub was. Henderson was initially reluctant to tell Harry because he didn't want him to delve further. Although finally, Henderson gave the address of the pub. Harry came to the pub, ordered a drink at the bar, then stared at the bartender and waited for the dealer to arrive. While walking around the pub, Harry saw a group of people running a business in the back. Harry recognized one of the men in the van that hit his wife and daughter. Increasingly intent on stalking them, Harry got in and hid in the car. The car drove off without knowing Harry was hiding in it. Harry was again watching the group of other men he had met as the car pulled up, and he recognized one of the men as his family's killer. The scene shifts, and Harry is seen selling his wife's engagement ring. After that, Harry met the woman who had previously done drug dealings in the churchyard and gave her an envelope. Harry followed again and peeked at the group of men until they reached a building. The men appear to have beaten another young man before confining him. They uncover a plan to kill the man. Harry saw more men he recognized were in the car that hit his wife and daughter to death inside the room. Harry went up the stairs to the top of the building, where the men were about to shoot two men. The young man who was about to be shot had apparently snuck into their house. There was an act of murder. The man threw a knife that landed on the young man's forehead. Then two other men opened fire on the remaining victim. Harry, who witnessed the incident, was shocked. He panicked and ran down the stairs. On the way home, Harry looked confused, although he still lurks not far from the building where the men are gathered. The scene shifts again, showing Harry giving an envelope to a woman in the churchyard. This time, the woman gave him a box. Harry carried the box up into the room. Apparently, the box contained a gun and bullets. After loading the bullet into the gun, Harry practiced shooting into the bed. He imagined every shot going at the men who hit his wife and daughter. After that, Harry started to train body strength. He does sports and even exercises to endure pain by burning his hands in candles. Once again, Harry returned to the men's headquarters building, stalked the cars that came in and out, and then sneaked inside. Inside the house, Harry grabbed a gun and was ready to fire. but the building is completely empty. Harry only saw used goods and a colorful pill. As he sits down, someone is seen walking inside the house. Harry brandished the gun again, though his hands shook, and shot at the man but missed. Instead, the man instantly immobilized Harry and stabbed his hand. Harry managed to grab a gun and shoot the man in the stomach in a precarious state. The man then said that his group was in the countryside to pick up deliveries in the next 2 days. Harry threw down the notebook and asked the man to write down their meeting place. The man asked who he was, and Harry took off his hat. The man said he knew they would meet again. Harry then reveals he was hoping, praying, and waiting for them to meet again. But soon, the man got back up from the chair and grabbed a knife to stab Harry, but Harry was faster and shot him. The man said they would find Harry and kill him like they killed his family. Harry then grabbed the iron wand and beat the man to death. Back at the old church, Harry treated the wound on his hand from the man's stab. In the kitchen, he ran into Emma again. Emma shows Harry a beach photo and says she used to go out with her husband a lot when he was alive. Harry then asked if her husband was a good person, and Emma replied he was a nice and funny person. When Emma was about to dodge, Harry kissed her instead. They then kissed until Harry's memory returned to the past when his wife was pregnant. Harry apologized to Emma and left. After that, Emma briefly ignored him before giving Harry a hot drink the next day. Harry told her the book he was reading, which his wife had apparently given him. When Emma asked about his wife, Harry said they had separated. Then, Harry said he would be off work tomorrow. The next day, Harry put the gun in a plastic bag and brought a map. He drove the car and headed towards the countryside. Harry saw a black van parked in front of the barn in a field. He surveyed the warehouse and saw 2 men coming out to greet another man who had arrived by plane. But the man did not stay long, and he just handed over the bag he was carrying before he flew away again. Harry then pulled a gun from inside his jacket and sneaked into the warehouse. 2 men came out of the barn to smoke. Harry approached and pointed a gun at them both. Without a word, Harry shot the 2 men. Apparently, the gunshot sent another man out and immediately stabbed Harry in the shoulder with a knife before getting into the car and fleeing. Harry picked up the long-barreled gun the man had left behind. In a state of pain, Harry saw the shadow of a woman. On the other hand, the man who had previously been knocked down by Harry's shot rose to his feet and was about to stab him. Harry grabbed the long-barreled gun and shot the man one more time. Still in pain and stabbed, Harry took the knife the man had left behind, got in the car, and drove back to church. Previously, Harry had taken the time to go to the pharmacy to buy medicine. On the other hand, the criminals returned to the warehouse and were astonished that their pills were not taken. They were confused and did not know who shot their friends. Harry apparently wasn't just buying medicine. He asked the help of a male nurse at the pharmacy to sew up the stab wound on his shoulder. The male nurse gave Harry morphine, which he had to inject for 3 days. In a warehouse in town, they find their friend killed. Once again, the intruder did not take any money or drugs in the building. One of the criminals said that the intruder had taken his knife and wanted it back. While about to remove the corpse of their slain friend, they find a note, which is a sales note from Harry's wife's engagement ring. The 2 thugs came to the shop, pretending to be buying a display object. On the other hand, Emma left Harry to go to the seaside for a few days. Emma had apparently rented a place to celebrate her birthday. Hesitantly, Emma gave the address if Harry wanted to visit. Before Emma left, Harry wished her a happy birthday. While looking at the photo of the seaside scene Emma had left, Harry didn't notice a man sneaking in. The thug immediately pointed a gun at him while another man grabbed him from behind and asked for a knife. But Harry acted quickly by biting the man and running into the church. The chase took place. Harry went into the room and took a knife from his jacket. But the 2 men quickly restrained him before throwing Harry off the floor above. Luckily, Harry fell onto the table and managed to get up. Although limping, Harry dashed out of the church. The 2 men came into Harry's room and rummaged through his things. They find a letter from Henderson Detective Agency. Harry tries to contact Henderson, but gets no answer. On the other hand, Henderson has actually been arrested by the 2 criminals. They greased Henderson with gasoline and threatened to set him on fire before Henderson finally gave him an address. But the man didn't believe the address and shot him dead. After that, they went by car. Harry was walking in the middle of the city, sick and covered in blood. At the pub, the 2 thugs apparently caught the bartender. They smothered and killed the man for revealing their location to Harry. Meanwhile, Harry took a train to a cottage in the country. The cottage apparently belongs to Harry, and he owns several horses that are cared for by a woman named Kirsty, a veterinarian. When Kirsty saw Harry staggered in the middle of the fields, she helped and treated his wounds. After Harry woke up, Kirsty asks where Harry has been for years. Harry then said that he had found them. Harry asked Kirsty not to tell anyone that he was in the cabin and asked to leave him alone for a few days. Even Harry had asked Kirsty not to come and see him. After that, Harry went up the hill to the graves of his wife and daughter, Elizabeth and Lucy Kane. While on top of the hill, another old man came up to him. The old man asked Harry if he believed the criminals would come. Harry answered confidently, especially since he had already killed 3 of the gang of criminals. The old man then remembered the past when they used to walk around there when Harry's wife was pregnant. Harry said he was actually scared, but the old man gave him a hunting rifle and bullets. Harry was getting ready to put on a neat shirt, suit, and tie. Harry then sets fire to his wife's remaining belongings, including money. While the 3 criminals drove a car to get to Harry's place, the thugs grabbed pistols and firearms before sneaking into Harry's hut, but they couldn't find Harry. Just as they thought Harry wasn't there, a voice came from the direction of the stables. The 2 criminals then went to see where Harry was. One of the criminals who stay at the house doesn't realize that Harry is in the house and is stalking him. When the thug turned around, Harry was already pointing his rifle and shooting the thug dead. The other 2 thugs scattered across the stables and fields, searching for Harry. The thug didn't notice Harry stalking him and shot him straight away as before. But this one thug was more agile and managed to push Harry down. The fight between Harry and the thug ensues. Harry pushed the thug down and was doused with gasoline. As the thug was about to get back up, Harry pushed him back into the fire until he was burned alive. Harry apparently didn't realize that there were 3 criminals. The last male thug came and pointed a gun at Harry. Harry said that it was over and he could go home. Sure enough, the thug immediately ran and left Harry. After that, Harry went back into the house and played the song on the record. He climbed up the hill, walking towards the graves of his wife and daughter. Vengeance's mind concludes with a scene of Harry lying face down on the grave after drinking the morphine given by the nurse. Harry again imagined his wife and daughter, who seemed to be sleeping peacefully. Meanwhile, Emma was on the beach, the same place as the photo she had given Harry. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that there will be a price for all actions, and grief over the loss of a loved one can make a person willing to do anything.